the people, joining together, standing up. This is our life. And speaking out.
We are declaring our freedom. We do not consent.
This needs change.
We're not gonna take
had all the Biden information all that time and they covered it all up.
We're gonna take it.
Your gut tells you there's something very bad going on, and you suggest that there is. But the people in charge won't acknowledge that. Everything's fine when you scream. Stop noticing.
To lead in shaping a new world order.
Oh, you're so condescending.
We need a new world order.
It is true that the Republicans are a clear and present danger to our democracy.
But what I tell you that humans, they have this soul, this spirit, they have free will, so whatever I choose, whether in the election, whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's all fine.
The first Congressional District meeting is called to order.
The second Congressional District meeting is called to order.
Pastor Iverson Jackson with AACA Chairman will lead us in our invocation.
Let us pray. Lord, we come again to just say thank you for all that our eyes have seen and ears have heard as we move, Father, from this inspirational part into the administrative part. We just pray that our hearts would remain steadfast as we conduct the business of these districts. We ask you for wisdom and guidance in all the affairs that we do and our answers and all the things that are going to happen tonight. We ask for your blessings to be upon it as we conduct ourselves accordingly to your word and to what we are pledged to in our documents. And so we just thank you and give you the praise and the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, everyone will please stand for the pledge. It is going to be led by our veterans.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing as the Lancaster girls, and join in with the Lancaster girls as they lead us in Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last
I'm going to take on all of the forces that are trying to destroy this country, and I'm going to win for you. I can feel it coming. I've been waiting for this moment for my life. Oh Lord, can you feel it coming?
Now we're approaching the most important battle of our lives. We are going to do things to you that have never been done before. I would not bend the hand. I've seen your face before my brain, but I don't know if you know who I am. But I was there so much to do. So will my own device. Why not that way? No way to think. It's all been actualized. If I renounce my beliefs on the United States side, the persecution would stop. And it's not necessarily to teach that person a lesson. It's to teach all of the people that are watching a lesson.
The one thing Washington did not forget is that I put America first. I always put America first. I have to do that in order to make America great again.
When we get back in the White House, I will totally obliterate the deep state.
I reject their foolish and disastrous foreign war. Their horrific globalist trade. I refuse to bend the knee. country. I want people to stop dying.
I don't know what that means with these people. Visit us, and continue to visit us. We have to turn the tables on them, give them a dose of their medicine, and then we can give them a blanket, and then we can discuss it.
Justice will be done.
We will now have our credentials reports. Rita Dobson, are you in the room for the First Congressional? Rita, do we have Megan Cawthorn in the room?
Madam Chair, we have one.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Okay, do we have Kim Bourgeois in the room for the credentials report?
Madam Chair, we have four.
Thank you. And thank you to all those who served on the credentials committee.
Yes, we appreciate you serving. Now we will determine the method of voting before we get into business. The chairs will entertain a motion for each district to vote together during this meeting only. That would mean one motion maker, 1 second, and vote together. Is there a motion from the First Congressional? Is there a second?
Second.
If you are in the First Congressional and you have on a red armband, you can vote on this. So, is there any discussion? All those hearing none will move to the vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Great, now from the second district, do I have a motion to vote together? Second. We have Pamela and Jackie seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you.
We're going to move on to the minutes and the treasurer's reports.
Is there a motion to dispense with the minutes and the treasurer's report from the second district?
So moved.
Okay, so moved. Thank you. Is there a second?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to take a look back here on the screen, and after this, we're going to take a moment out to remember our children, our victims of child trafficking, the court system, transgenderism, okay, and we're going to have a moment of silence for them. So go ahead and take a look.
You are not here. There's never been a moment you were forgotten. You are not hopeless. Though you have been broken, your innocence stolen. I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your rest so wet, your rest so wet. I hear the whisper underneath your breath. I hear you whisper you have nothing left.
Please rise for a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, you may be seated for we're going to move on to business.
Is there any business?
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the conflict resolution. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the filing fee resolution. Is there any discussion?
All those in favor, please say aye. Oh, I'm sorry. It looks like we might have somebody.
I think
filing fee at $30,000 is way too much. I think there ought to be an alternative method to become a candidate for the U.S. Congress. To the resolution, I would like to add an amendment that would say that in lieu of the $30,000 filing fee, a candidate may fill out a petition that takes signatures of 1,500 registered Republicans in the Congressional district and pay a $5,000 filing fee in the office of U.S. Representative. And that's just an add-on to what's already in the resolution.
Okay, could the gentleman that submitted the resolution please rise? John Allison, do you accept the friendly amendment? Is this a friendly amendment or not, first of all?
It's friendly, yes.
Okay, we're going to take a vote on the friendly amendment. Yes. Is there a second to the amendment? Yeah.
I want to say something. With all due respect to the gentleman in this amendment, I think it waters down because it still leaves the option for the $30,000. It's outrageous that $30,000 should be charged. And I think we should just leave the resolution as is.
May I respond? I think the $30,000 is outrageous, and that's why we need another simpler method that costs a whole lot less dollars to for people to run for U.S. representative. And that's why I think if we get a petition with 1,500 Republican signatures on it and a small filing fee, that makes a lot more sense, and it enfranchises not only more people to run for Congress, but it also gives some weight to the folks that are out there that are our fellow citizens.
Madam Chair, on the petitioning, that is a state law that would have to be changed, and I don't think that's something we can do here. I'll make that point.
Okay, so there are mics at different points in the room. If you would like to speak, please go to a mic. Are there any speaking anymore? Do we have a second to the amendment, or did the amendment not get a second? It did get a second. So it's been moved and seconded. We're going to vote. Is there any discussion on accepting the friendly amendment?
I again state the reasons why it conflicts with state law and it's impractical. So I'm speaking against it, and then I would like to put a motion on the floor to table that motion.
Okay, so we're in the middle of voting on an amendment. So when you make a motion, you can amend the amendment, but you can't okay. So if you want to amend the amendment back down, we're in the middle of the amendment.
I'll withdraw that.
Okay, we'll go ahead and vote on the amendment. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Yes.
So a point of information, is his amendment changing, what this resolution calls for is for the RPA Executive Committee to reverse its decision on the $30,000 filing fee. Is his amendment actually accepting the $30,000 as one method and adding the petition plus $5,000 as another? Or is it agreeing with the $15,000 and adding the $5,000 as another? What is his amendment actually accomplishing?
I think the resolution says we should do away with the $30,000. And all the amendment is to say there should be an alternative method by gaining signatures and a much lower filing fee for someone that wants to run for Congress. I think it opens up the door for a lot more people to be able to run without having to pony up a substantial amount of money today. And this is a resolution. We're not changing law here. We're recommending some change.
Okay, there's no further discussion on accepting the amendment. We're going to move to the vote. All those in favor of accepting the amendment say aye. Those opposed? No. The amendment fails. We're back to voting on the resolution. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, we're going to go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of passing the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Resolution adopted.
Okay, the chairs will entertain a motion to adopt the resolution resolution against the weaponization of the justice system. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. All right. The chairs will entertain a motion to endorse President Trump. Would anybody like to make such a motion? Is there a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Is there any further business? Any further business? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move to our speakers. Okay, next is going to be Ginny Dowden with Conduit. She's going to go over Conduit's famous scorecard. Please welcome Ginny Lauren.
I can't think of anyone who would be better at Robert's Rule of Orders than Sarah and Jennifer. They're amazing. It's so good to be in a room full of all of you patriots. America first. This is what it is all about. And Sarah was also very strict about is my mic on? Yeah. Okay. 10 and under. So I'm going to start my clock. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you to all of the 3 districts that are here today. There are a lot of us here from the 3rd district. Please stand with me. My name is Ginny Dowden, and I'm with Conduit. And before I get into our scorecard, just a quick raise of hands. How many of you are familiar with Conduit and what we do? Okay, I like it. Nice. Okay, what about if this is your first time hearing about Conduit? That's okay too. I want you, before I begin, to take out your phone and text the word join. And Skip, if you can go to that first slide. It's going to have that number on it, and it is 501-292-2683. And from there, we will send you all of our news alerts. If it's during the session, you will get news alerts constantly about legislation, our weekly scorecard, bills that we're following, but you'll also continue out of session, get our information. All right, so briefly, I just want to say, okay, why are we here? All of us are here. We have a lot going on in the summertime. It's the middle of summer, but we are all here because we care about preserving our liberty and freedoms. And especially during the pandemic, we saw our government reach down and try to grip that away from us. But I want to share this point with you, something that I want you to think about. It's a quote. It says, freedom is inherent to humans. It exists within them by virtue of their humanity, and we know where that comes from. But liberty is a political construct that allows people to enjoy freedoms such as property rights, free speech, freedom of association, etc. But sadly, liberty is not the natural state of mankind. So then that leaves us, okay, what's the problem? What do we have to do here? Many of us have assumed that liberty is a natural state of us here in this country, specifically here in Arkansas. Today, we see otherwise, and that is where Conduit comes into play. Conduit was founded by 2 Arkansas small business owners, Joe Maynard. He is an aerospace and commercial manufacturer. Brenda Vassar-Taylor, she's a tax attorney. They started this a little over 10 years ago, and they were driven by the goal specifically to reduce the size of government. And they realized if they did that, that would directly impact and increase personal property and prosperity for all of you Arkansans. And as they started into the first few years, they realized, okay, what is the most effective means and the most effective way that we can do this? And they realized is to elect and unelect your legislators at the state, Senate, and the House of Representatives level. And so that is where we focus most. And we're made up of 4 different nonprofits. They all operate very differently, and I want to say legally, to do different things, basically to inform and educate you people, and then to get out and vote, and to really know what your legislators are doing. Our mission is to increase personal freedoms. And you know, we often hear a lot, oh, it's the economy, stupid. It's not the economy. It's not economic development. We're hearing that a lot right now. It's nice. or even producing more jobs, or it's not even about economic opportunity or prosperity for all. That is not what it is about. It is simply about pure economic freedom. Hayek said it best when he said, you cannot have economic freedom without political freedom. But you cannot have political freedom without economic freedom. And to break that down, we say this all the time at Conduit, social issues matter. They matter. We have to push back. I have 2 girls in the school system right now. I founded Moms for Liberty, the first chapter here in Arkansas. We have to get involved in social issues here. But at the end of the day, if the government has all of your money, you have no social freedom. They have the control. And so our goal at Conduit is to completely shrink the size of government, take away their power, and give more power back to you. You rightfully own it. A lot goes on. It is so hard to keep up with everything, and especially towards the end of the session, they move so quickly. So this is what we do at Conduit. We keep up with things so you can stay informed. We produce a weekly analysis of all bills. We publish them. We tell you whether we oppose it or we support it, and we tell you why. It's based on our economic freedom filter. I'll break that down in just one second when I show you the scorecard. We also follow all of the activity in the committee meetings as well as the votes on the floor. I'm going to talk about this in a second, but the committee meetings and those votes, we really want to see our legislators push to have recorded votes in the next session. That has got to happen. We cannot have transparency and accountability in our government if we do not know how they vote. All right, and so that's what we do. I'm going to tell you about the economic freedom filter very quickly. As you've probably picked up on, we are all about money and how much money the government has. And so we look at every single bill that is filed, and we score it based on 4 things. 1, does it increase or decrease the size of government? Does it increase or decrease the dependency on government? Does it spend money that we don't have? Does it increase or decrease transparency in government? And so if legislation, any piece of legislation falls into these categories, we score it and we show you your legislator's vote. So a brief summary over this past legislative session. Very similar to what we saw in 2021. A lot of social issues were at the forefront, and that's great. We believe that has to happen. We have to push back. Especially Brenda and Joe were talking about, and they said that they send their love, but this is their 10th year in publishing their scorecard. And it was a bit different than year when we were breaking things down. They said, Brenda specifically talked about this, and Skip will go to, I don't know what slide I'm on, but they said we're using the alphabet to describe the indescribable. We're using trans everything to eliminate absolutes. We speak old words with new meanings. We define truth as repeated choruses rather than provable facts, and we silence and demonize dissenters. And so what we discovered is we can no longer, and we've known this, we can no longer pay attention to what culture says. We have to stick to our principles, and what are those? That's according to our economic freedom filter, and that is how we score these bills. 2 big wins that I'll briefly talk about over the legislative session. Of course, the LEARNS Act. We don't love everything in the LEARNS Act. We don't love how the financial part of it, some of the money, how it's going to be distributed, what is that going to look like? We know that there's a lot of questions there, but overall, we will always choose school choice and education freedom because we know from there that goes into economic freedom and better prosperity for all of our Kansans. So the LEARNS Act is a really good bill and a great step forward. And our goal and what our mission should be moving forward is how do we continue to have the LEARNS Act implemented and stay implemented since it's over a course of 3 years. Another really good bill was a special election reform. That's Act 300. That was sponsored by Representative David Ray. He's wonderful. And he also leans into those tax cuts. We had a small good tax cut. Again, though, we are still behind with our surrounding states. So we've got some work to do there. Let's talk about our winners quickly. We've got Senate. So we look at how everyone scores according to their votes from the 40 bills that we pull regarding economic activity for those bills. And then we score it and we see where those legislators fall. These are your top senators. We've got Jim Johnson, Northwest Arkansas, Matt McKee, he's a freshman, Clint Penzo, Mark Johnson, Senator Payton and Senator Sullivan. Raise your hand if any of these are your senators. Nice. They did a really good job. Let's look at the House. We have, I believe, 16 of our House of Representatives, those legislators winning, and it was really encouraging to see a number of freshman reps in this list. You have Representative Duke, she's a freshman, Representative McClendon, Representative Purrier. So it was really good to see them make waves and stand up and vote the way that we as conservatives want them to vote. So a little bit about how we choose these winners. Everything, that back table to the far right corner, I have copies of our brand new scorecard. Literally got them from, he's back there holding them up right now. Please come get one. You will see how every legislator voted on every single bill according to our economic freedom filter. And that's what's really interesting about the scorecard. We hear this a lot. People are like, I had no idea that he voted that way. But he says all of the right things. He does. But that's why we produce a scorecard. Because it's not about their rhetoric, it's not about their tweets, it's not about what they come to say to you when they visit the county committee, and we love those visits. It's strictly about how they push the button. The top 5 bills that we scored with Conduit, I'm going to briefly go over those because I'm running out of time. Of course, the LEARNS Act, the special election reform, income tax cuts, the repeal throwback rule that reduces the tax burden on business owners, which is what we are all about. And Senate Bill 71, which is sponsored by Senator Dan Sullivan, that did not pass, but that would have ended discrimination here in Arkansas, and we need to get that bill passed. The next slide will briefly go over our honorable mentions, and if you, again, grab a scorecard, you will see all of that. You also see the bills that we opposed. And one thing that I want to say about the bills that we opposed, we saw a concerted effort, and we continue to see it today, to I guess maybe restrain our Freedom of Information Act and transparency here in Arkansas. And you guys fought really hard. I see a lot of faces who are in those committee meetings fighting for transparency and accountability and trying to hold fast to our FOIA law that we have. They are still trying to strip that away from you. You've got to stay involved. So pay attention to that one as well. And then, of course, the DEI, Affirmative Action Bill, we want to see that brought back up. So did government get bigger or smaller? This past legislative session, I'm going to leave that to you to answer. We have a long way to go, but please pick up our scorecard. We also produce a Follow the Money report. This will detail every single candidate who was in the GOP primary. You will find out how every single one of them voted. The money that was contributed to them, special interests, lobbying groups, who are the biggest players in Arkansas and who funds them. So please come pick up one of those. Our hope at Conduit, again, is of course to continue to restore our economic freedom to you all, Arkansans, by major tax cuts, real caps on government growth. We want to see required public notices published solely on state-owned websites, and then of course, we want every committee vote recorded. And then finally, if you're not following Conduit News, you should do that. We are Arkansas's #1 source for conservative news and politics. We cover all of the news that the mainstream media will not touch. We stay in touch with committees, the resolutions that you're passing, what you want to see happen, grassroots efforts. And so I would just really encourage you to follow Conduit. And then you can always make a tax-deductible gift to us. We can't do this without y'all. We're a nonprofit, and all of these resources cost money. And so even if it's a $5, $10 donation, we will certainly take it. So with that, I'm 12 minutes. Thank you so much. Please come find me in the table behind, in the very back, our scorecard and Follow the Money report. Would love to talk to you. Thank you.
Here today. By the way, she's in the building, so will you please give them a big round of applause?
speakers. So the first one up is a very dear friend of mine, and he hails from South Carolina. Some of y'all saw him earlier when he came in the room. But, we got to talking, and we discovered that Arkansas and South Carolina have a lot in common. We're both red states with open primaries. We seem to have similar struggles. So this is my friend, Keith Blandford, who is the leader of the America First movement in South Carolina, and the only man in South Carolina with the gumption and dedication to primary Senator Lindsey Graham.
So my name is Keith Blandford, and quickly, my family's been in the South for hundreds of years. My family was present when Lord Cornwallis surrendered Yorktown, Virginia. We have fought in almost every major engagement this country has been in, to include World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Operation Enduring Freedom, and I'm serving now. Serve the United States Navy. It's also in the Army National Guard now. I'm a major in the South Carolina Guard as battalion commander. I've done this as a citizen soldier. I work the whole time. I have businesses. I'm a businessman. So I've had to balance all of it together, and it has been hard. I ran in 2010 because I knew what's going on. I had been trained as a nation-state's geopolitical strategist. I've also been trained at the Mises Institute in Austrian economics, and the key to what we're dealing with now is the central banks. Now that's a hard topic. I ran on that in 2010, 2012, 2013, and I can see people's eyes glazing over, but it is the critical path. And I can tell you that Ron Paul was right. He was. So I did that in an effort to bring that conversation to South Carolina and U.S. District 1 for Congress, and I left. And I did not want to go back because it's awful, and you all know it's awful, and how my family has been treated throughout it is awful. And what happened to re-engage me was the masks. They tried to mask me. Right? They tried to mask me in South Carolina, and it re-engaged many people like me to get back involved. So in 2022, I ran for Secretary of State in South Carolina, and we garnered 84,000 votes on $4,000. So we did well, and we learned it. Yep. One of the things that we're hearing, I'm a populist candidate. I'm a populist leader in South Carolina. And what you're hearing in South Carolina, good old boy system in South Carolina, is a call for unity, unity, unity. And what that means in my state, that means shut up and sit down and do what we say. Right? And we are an open primary state. South Carolina is not a red state. It is a fake red state. And the regular people sit back and say, hooray, we're Republicans, and they're not going to do anything. But meanwhile, look at our legislative score. We are the most liberal red state in the United States of America. Would you know that about South Carolina? And what is unity then? So as we prepared for the reorg, there is a strategy that can win. And when they say a commander who defends every outpost defends none, that means if we're trying to win the battle everywhere, we're going to win nowhere. So you fight in your backyard. Do you have your backyard? Do you have your precinct? So we engaged in the precinct strategy. We didn't know what we were doing. We worked hard. We role played. We tried everything we could do. And we reached out to Sarah. And in Arkansas, actually helped South Carolina. They were instrumental in helping South Carolina find a way forward to reclaim our precincts. Half of our counties, we came within 16 votes of removing one of the worst rhino GOP chairs in the country. So South Carolina benefited from Arkansas's efforts, and Arkansas can be one of the states leading the way to freedom here in the United States. So I'm not very special. I've got a lot of different backgrounds, but we all do. But I can tell you this, I'm a soldier. And I'm doing what you expect me to do. And one thing I'm going to tell you is the bad news. You have to accept the battlefield for what it is. You have to understand where you are. Right? And where are you? You have lost the media. You have lost the movies. You have lost the news. You have lost your elections. You have lost it all. Right? You are now in the place where you're fighting, you're literally surrounded. And that's great, it's where we want to be. Right? What they do is not anything organic. Right? So what you're thinking when you hear about the cultural wars is, oh, we're losing so badly, or whatever. This is the same thing that happened in Ukraine, Syria, Libya, Iraq. This is called a color revolution. What you're experiencing is a military precision, the breakdown of a country without firing a shot. And whether you believe it or not is irrelevant. I know exactly what this is because I speak multiple languages for a reason. So what do? They come in, they hijack your press, they take care of your social media. This is what the United States does, folks. What do? We come in, we hijack it, we make the leaders look like idiots and incompetent fools. We start ramping it up as we're going into an election period. What's the next thing we do? Ukraine 2014, what do? Antifa, release them onto the streets, rip down statues, blah, blah, blah. This thing about that, folks, is organic. After we do that, we start attacking the family unit, especially the male. Transgenderism is not natural, it's not normal, it's not cultural, it's military decision. And we all know it. Once we do that, what's the next thing we do? Hugo Chavez, Smartmatic, Venezuela. They developed a system to rig your elections, and our intelligence community bought it. And we have used it around the state, and after Event 201, men like me knew that they were going to use it here. After we put the people in the street, we rigged the election. After we rigged the election, we weaponized the government against the people. Immediately. Then what do? We take away your history. We take away your families. We take away your rights. We take away your borders. Boom. No country. It's over. That's called taking over a country without firing a shot. And that's right where we are. And why is it such in the South, where I'm from? We do not say the United States. We say these United States. That's because it's going to be up to Arkansas and South Carolina to take care of their own. You know, what my family and I are prepared to do is terrifying. And you know, I've been in a lot of bad fights in my life, and what they'll do to me and my family, I'm not looking forward to. I'm just a regular man like any of you. I'm up against $200 million for a person who is willing to do anything to maintain power. The reason why they're holding on to Ukraine is because what they did in Ukraine. And if people find out what they did, they're going to be convicted for the rest of their lives. At least. And so they're going to fight to the last Ukrainian, and people are dying over there. And America has a lot of blood on their hands, and we need to stop it. So what I would say to you is I want you to remember that I have done this since 2010. I have heard, here's how the politician works. They're just fine, right? So here's what they start with. They start with a little anecdote about a family. Oh, my mama said something. Then they throw in a joke, everybody laughs. Then they blame everything that's happening on the opposing political party. Then they end it with God bless America, God bless the troops, and they sit down. And I have done that thousands of times. So what can I say differently? Nothing. What I can tell you is you need to remember. You need to remember that we built this place. Amen. And how did we do it? We did it through God. Amen. I know what it's like to live a life of self-will. I know what it's like to live life on my terms. And what happened? I got brought to my knees. And when did my life turn around? When did my life get better? When I surrendered and said, God, help me. And that's where we are, folks. Right now, America is at war. Right? And who is funding this? Who put all this together? It's the CCP with the World Economic Forum as their buddy. They are running the show. And one of the things that you do immediately is you humiliate and break down the military. Has that happened? Yes. So get it out of your mind that this is a culture war. This is a war. And it's going to take real fighting, real thinking, not just complaining, doing. We are in a spiritual war, good versus evil. You remember that we built all of this. We built all of this. And the politicians who are out there, they work for us, and we will bring them to heel. They will do what we tell them to do, or they are going to be sent packing.
Here we are. Okay, isn't he great? What a blessing to have these fighters in this room. Thank you. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you for your fight. Thank you for your resolve. Thank you for your patriotism. We're so blessed to have you. I want to just make one clarification. When the major was talking about Sarah, it was our Sarah Dunklin that he was referring to. Sarah has been in this fight for a long time, and she has taken some slings and arrows, and we are so proud of her, and what a blessing she is to all of us. So the rabid liberal left has gone after her hard, but she is still standing. She is still putting